Time for an ownership update on my 2024 Mazda Miata ND3 Club with the Brembo BBS Recaro package in Soul Red Crystal. Of course, it's a soft top. And for those who are new to the channel, I've tried to optimize this for dual duty, which ultimately is a compromise, right? So it's not going to be quite as sharp, responsive, and quick on track. It's not going to be quite as comfortable as stock on the street, but that's the goal, at least for stage one of the modification journey. And right now, the stage one is kind of complete. So the full mod list is down in the description, but what you need to know, I have installed a Blackbird Fabworks roll bar. I've added the Guardian Design steering wheel. It's a 330 millimeter. I've done the Jass seat lowering bracket, which lowers the stock Recaros by 2¼ inch. And then I also added a seat back raising kit, which is why you can see that black bar between the seat back and the seat bottom. Although the passenger seat, I've left stock, obviously. I have MiataSpeed brake lines, R10 and R8 G-Loc pads front and rear. These Konig Hypergram 17x8 in bronze wheels wrapped in Falken RT615K plus tires. Have Supermiata Tecna Coilovers with 8K front, 4K rear. Those are the sports springs, although you can get GT for more street comfort with 6 and 3 front and rear respectively. And then the camber, you can see, I have now 3.5 degrees in the front, 2.8 in the rear, and caster about 7.5 degrees. And with stage one complete, it's actually changed the way that I view the ND Miata, because for those who don't know, I've always felt like the Miata is a bit of an overrated car, at least stock. Gotta love that phone mount. Money. Charges there too. Wireless CarPlay. You can find yours linked below with my coupon code. You save 10% as well. So, ownership experience with the car. When I got it stock, I love how lightweight the car is. I love that I can put the top down. It's my first ever convertible. And with Mazda making revisions to the ND3 with the LSD as well as the steering, it drives better than any ND that came before. And actually, I would say any Miata that came before, because they've kept refining and perfecting the formula. But after a couple months, I started realizing there were some significant issues. First of all, I wasn't comfortable in the car because the seat and the overall cabin is not designed for a taller driver, obviously. So the seat lowering bracket allowed me to fit in the car for track, but my back was still uncomfortable, so I had to do the seat back raising kit, which helped quite a bit. And now I feel like I can go on longer drives, although I still can't fully stretch out my legs, which is an issue, so I will have to do frequent stops. I'm not having back pain anymore like I did before. The car was also way too soft in stock form. Now I haven't adjusted the sway bars. They're still OEM, but the suspension itself was way too wallowy, and it's fine when you're driving 3-4 tenths, but when you start pushing the car, it actually reduces your confidence because it takes too long for the car to set, and you want to be able to communicate with the car and have it respond to you in a way that gives you some confidence and predictability. And when you're waiting too long for it to transfer weight and such, you actually don't know what's going to happen, because you give it an input and then you have to wait, and then you can do a correction and so on. So I actually disagree with the common sentiment which states that the soft suspension in the ND Miata makes it a lot easier to drive and more approachable to drive. I'd actually argue you want something that's more moderately sprung, not too soft, not too stiff. And what we've done here with these Tecnas in 8 and 4, front to rear spring rates, I think it's a good balance, where you still have a comfortable ride. Not going to be as comfortable as stock, obviously, but definitely not punishing on the street. My girlfriend doesn't have any issues with it. She's normally very picky, and you still have much better responsiveness. So I just drove a buddy's ND3, and his is more track prep, and it actually got me thinking, what is the next stage and the next evolution of this car? So I'm doing a handful of track days right now, and trying to push the limits, understand the car better, become a better driver in the process. But what happens next? I should actually first say that recently I got offset knuckle bushings installed from Supermiata from 949 Racing, and phenomenal, completely transformed the car. They're only $99, and I went to Track Spec Autosports in Fremont. They're phenomenal to work with. They installed them, and were then able to provide a more aggressive alignment, because without the offset knuckle bushings, you can only get so much camber and so much caster. But now with the OKBs, I'm 3.5 degrees of camber in the front and 7.5 degrees of caster. And the difference was actually transformative. When I first got in the car after dropping it off at the shop, I was like, holy crap, this car feels completely different. And I'm glad I did it this way, because initially I was going to install the OKBs and the coilovers on the same day at Track Spec, but then I just misplaced the OKBs. I couldn't find them for like a week or two. So I just got the coilovers installed separately with an alignment. And that alignment, I think, was like 2 degrees of camber in the front, and maybe like 6 to 6.5 degrees of caster. And then separately, I installed and did the alignment on, oh my God, squirrel. Why you gotta be like that, buddy? So after getting the OKBs and the more aggressive alignment, what changed is two things. Number one, the steering woke up again, because when you add caster, you get heavier steering and better feedback as well. So just adding that 1 degree of caster made a huge difference and made the front end far more communicative. And then secondly, with the increased camber as well, again, going from 2 degrees to 3.5, the front end is so much more responsive with every little input, far more of a sharp front end. And that gave me a lot more confidence going into my next track day. And you guys can find that video of Thunderhill 3 Mile East linked below. So after driving Waitsu's ND3, which is much more track focused in terms of his preparation, although he still does daily drive it with almost 11K, 5.5K front to rear spring rates. He has MCS two-way remote coilovers, really top shelf stuff. He has forged wheels with 235 section width rubber, with CRS tires. Like, that is where my car build journey is going to start approaching, and it got me excited for, you know, the next stages. I actually want to tweak a few things in the process too. So number one, I think these Recaros now with these the lowering bracket and the seat back raising kit, it's a lot easier to be comfortable now day to day, but on the track I still wish that I had a little bit more support. So I'm looking at getting a bucket seat for the car. Another thing is actually the steering wheel. So this is a Guardian design, and it's just like too squishy. It feels high quality, it's pretty to look at. You can customize everything from the stitching to the noon marker to, you know, whatever you want. But the issue is that it's just too soft, and that dampens a lot of the steering feedback. So the stock ND3 has a much stiffer wheel, and also in the ND3 I drove, it also has an aftermarket steering wheel, but it's a lot firmer than this, and it transmits more feedback through the wheel. So I'm looking at changing out the steering wheel. Not the biggest fan of this, although it looks and feels nice, it's just not giving me as much data as I would like. In terms of wheels and tires, I'm going to be either getting more aggressive 215 section width rubber, because the RT615K Plus is, you know, older gen 200 tread wear, very low grip. It's not really comparable to modern 200 tread wear tires. So I'll either do that, or I'll just get wider wheels and go with stickier rubber in one go. Haven't decided that yet. But my overall relationship with the car has changed, because at the beginning, when I first got the car, there was a bit of like this love-hate, and kind of like, maybe I should have gotten an S2000 because it's so much more visceral and fun to drive and has a more special drivetrain. Both the engine and transmission in the S2000, I would argue, are superior than in the ND3. But it's an older car. At current market value, is it really worth that? And if this is going to be a dual-duty vehicle, I want to have CarPlay and good AC and heated seats and these creature comforts, reverse cam, that makes it nicer driving day to day on the streets. But after modifying the car to the stage 1, it's actually growing on me more and more. I appreciate, especially when you go on track, that you can just beat on this car and it's not going to overheat, it's not going to have issues, consumables are very cheap, and the level of communication it gives you and the challenge it also gives you in becoming a better driver is phenomenal. I would say that the GR86 and the FRS, which I owned previously, they're a bit more beginner friendly. They have a longer wheelbase of about 101 inches. This is like 10 inches shorter. Those cars are about 27 to 2,800 pounds. This is a lot lighter. Those have McPherson strut front suspension. This has double wishbone. And the overall package is such that the twins from Subaru and Toyota, they're harder to actually get to rotate because you have that McPherson strut, even with, you know, whatever you do on the front end with your camber bolts and your camber plates and all that stuff, you're still limited by the front end grip. And you can trail brake, you can get it to rotate, but not quite as readily as the Miata. It's not as willing to rotate. Whereas the Miata, it more closely follows the driver's inputs, and it gives you that challenge because on every single turn now you're trying to trail brake and rotate in a way that gets you around that turn as fast as possible. And having the shorter wheelbase makes it a little bit less progressive, and that's why I say that it's not quite as beginner friendly. I'm not going to say this is a vehicle for advanced drivers, not at all. It's still approachable by beginners for sure. It's just not quite as beginner friendly and forgiving as something like the 86 Twins. And I think that's part of the fun. Like, you want to become a better driver. Anyway, wanted to give you guys a little bit of an ownership update. I'm starting to enjoy the car more. I have some new plans for modifications. Going to keep bringing you guys content, so subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have any requests or suggestions for mods for the vehicle in the future, please let me know with a comment down below. Much love, and I'll see you all in the next one.